we are going to do the classic benzoin condensation reaction. This is done in schools using thiamine, vitamin B1. But this is a bit woozy, so we decided to try it the proper old school way using cyanide as the catalyst. The first thing you'll need is 1 gram of alkali cyanide salt. We've used our mixed sodium-potassium cyanide and it's from an impure batch, so it's a yellow color. But it should work fine. As always, be very careful when handling cyanides as they are very toxic. This little bit of powder is enough to kill you, probably 5 times over. Dispose of any waste solutions using hypochlorite bleach, which oxidizes the cyanide into much less toxic cyanate before disposing. Now measure out 3 ml of water. Add this to the cyanide and stir to make a solution. It should all dissolve. Here we go. Now measure out 10 grams of benzaldehyde. Ours is slightly yellow colored and it's from the reaction we did in a previous video which used benzyl alcohol and manganese dioxide. Check it out at the link here. Now measure out 20 ml of ethanol. It doesn't matter if this isn't dry. Add the ethanol to the benzaldehyde solution in the flask. And now add the aqueous cyanide solution to the flask, containing the ethanol and benzaldehyde. To begin with, you won't see much happen. The solution is just a slight yellow color at this stage. Set up for reflux with the flask on a hot plate, and very gently refluxing the solution. It doesn't need to be too fast, just a slow and steady reflux. If you are doing the reaction using only a few grams of benzaldehyde, you can get away with heating in a conical flask and using no condenser. We are going to leave this refluxing now for a total of 2 hours. Throughout this period you will notice the color of the reaction mixture slowly turn a darker orange color. Here we are after 2 hours. At this point we removed the condenser and allowed some of the alcohol to evaporate off the reaction mixture. Once we saw solid forming on the side of the flask, we removed the flask from the heat. Here's the flask cooling down. The contents get down to just above room temperature, but are still quite liquid as you can see here. It's fun to make our product crystallize on demand. We scratch the flask with a glass rod. Very quickly crystals start to form. And then suddenly the whole mass crystallizes. The contents of the flask are pretty solid as you can see. We tip the contents into a sinter and filter them off. Wash the flask out with a little cold water. Then use this to wash this solid in the filter. This will remove any cyanide salts left. Then finally wash with 10 ml of ice-cold ethanol. Dry the solids well on the pump to create a fine powder. And here's a portion of our product. We got 7.2 grams of benzoin, which is a 72% yield on starting benzaldehyde. We could recrystallize this, but the product seems pretty pure as it is. It has quite a delicate faint aromatic aroma, and no almond-like benzaldehyde smell remaining. We'll use this for some future experiments.